Oil prices have dropped hard. Iran says the Strait of Hormuz is open again, but the US is still keeping a naval blockade on Iranian ships and ports. That is what makes this moment so important. One side is talking about normal shipping. The other is still using military pressure. Iran's foreign minister said on Friday, April 17, that commercial vessels can now pass through the strait again during the ceasefire period. This came as a 10-day ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel appeared to be holding, even though Lebanon's army has reported some Israeli violations. That matters because mediators had said progress between Washington and Tehran would be difficult unless fighting in Lebanon stopped. But the reopening is not a full return to normal. Iranian officials said commercial ships can pass on a coordinated route, and another Iranian military official said military vessels are still barred. At almost the same time, President Donald Trump said the U.S. naval blockade on Iranian ships and ports will remain in force until a wider deal with Iran is completed. So the strait may be open, but pressure on Iran has not ended. That gap is where the real risk sits. An Iranian official told Fars that if the U.S. keeps the blockade in place, Tehran may treat it as a ceasefire violation and close the strait again. Iran has not made that threat as an official state statement yet, but the warning shows how fragile this situation still is. It only takes one side to say the other has crossed a line for the crisis to restart. The market reaction shows why the world is watching so closely. Oil prices fell by about 11% after Iran's announcement. Brent and U.S. crude both dropped to their lowest levels since March 11. Wall Street also moved higher. Investors are clearly reading this as a sign of lower risk. But shipping companies are more cautious than financial markets. Hapag-Lloyd said it will avoid the strait for now while it reviews the situation, and the Norwegian Shipowners Association warned that mines, access rules, and on-the-ground safety are still unresolved. That brings us to the less obvious point. Reopening a waterway is not the same as restoring confidence. If shipowners still fear mines, delays, military checks, or sudden policy changes, then global trade does not fully recover just because leaders make announcements. The International Maritime Organization is still verifying whether the reopening really meets the standard of secure passage and freedom of navigation. This matters far beyond the Middle East. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most important trade arteries. Oil, gas, and other critical cargo move through it. Any disruption can hit fuel prices, transport costs, business confidence, and inflation. For Singapore, a country built on trade, shipping, and open sea lanes, this is not distant news. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong joined nearly 50 countries in a virtual meeting on restoring navigational rights, and said Singapore will continue supporting transit passage through international straits. That is a reminder that even countries far from the conflict can feel the impact. The sharper insight is this. The issue may no longer be whether the strait is technically open. The bigger issue is who controls the terms of access, and whether the ceasefire is strong enough to survive strategic pressure. Iran appears to be offering limited cooperation. The US appears to be separating commercial access from political and military leverage. That may reduce immediate panic, but it also leaves a built-in dispute over what counts as compliance. We have seen this pattern before in major conflicts. Public signals of de-escalation can calm markets quickly, while the deeper dispute remains unresolved underneath. A ceasefire can hold on paper while tensions continue through blockades, threats, conditions, and military positioning. In that sense, this is not yet a clean breakthrough. It is a controlled pause with clear fault lines still in place. So the key question now is not whether ships can pass today. It is whether both sides can avoid turning the next disagreement into another closure, another shock to oil prices, and another round of pressure on global trade. Do you think keeping the blockade while reopening the strait lowers tensions, or does it make another confrontation more likely? Like, share and subscribe to 2230.